Hello students, welcome back to my channel Learn Maths with Pranay. So in today's video, we are going to learn trigonometry angle table. So in this video, we are going to learn various trigonometric ratios like sine, cos, tan and the values for each of this angle. Okay, so over here we have written all the trigonometric ratios and on this side we have written all the angles. So to understand this, let's start with sine. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is nothing like specific to something called, just like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like in a serial one. Okay. So second step, we will divide each of this by 4. Okay. Everything. Okay. Okay, so it's simple. Just take 0 to 4 and divide everything by 4. There is no rule system. Okay, and like second step, after this, we have to take the square root of everything. 4. Okay, and just writing. Okay. Okay. So first, what we have done? We have taken number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Second, we have divided by every number by number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And third one, we took the square root of all the ratios. Okay. So over here, if you can see 0, there is nothing like we can do. It's like simply answer is 0. Okay. Second, this is 1 divided by 4. Okay, so square root of 1 is 1 and square root of 4 is 2. So this will get over here at 1 upon 2. So what does this mean as sine 0 is 0, sine 30 is 1 by 2, that is half. Okay, so in this going further, we will cancel the 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are. Okay, and second thing, we have the square root over here. Okay, square root of 1 is 1 and square root of 2 is simply root 2. So, we'll write this as 1 upon root 2. Okay, so sine 45 is 1 upon root 2. Okay, going forward, so there is nothing like we can simply write this as root 3 as root 3 and we know root 4 is 2. So we can write this as root 3 upon 2. So which means sine 60 is root 3 upon 2. And over here it's like simple cancel this 4 and 4 and they are remaining with 1. Square root of 1 is 1. So we'll write this as 1. So sine 90 is 1. So let's reiterate this. Sine 0 is 0. Sine 30 is 1 by 2, that is half. Sine 45 is 1 upon root 2. Sine 60 is root 3 upon 2. And sine 90 is 1. So over here, we have derived all the angle and its value for sine. Okay, so sine 0 is 0. Sine 30 is 1 upon 2. Sine 45 is 1 upon root 2. Sine 60 is root 3 upon 2. And sine 90 is 1. Okay, so if you remember in our previous videos, we have learned one formula for complementary angles. So we are going to use the same thing to derive the values for cos. Okay, so if you can see cos theta is equal to sine 90 minus theta. Okay, so let's take an example for 0. So let's substitute 0 in this example. So which will be the cos 0, cos 0 is equal to, okay, so we can substitute theta as 0, which is equal to 90 minus 0, which is equal to 90. So which means that cos cos 0 is equal to sin 90. Okay, so we can simply substitute the value of sin 90, which is 1, for cos 0. Okay, so it's simply just replace this, write this number for sin 90 as cos 0. Okay, so to simplify this, so we have to write these values in the reverse order starting from here. So we have the 1 over here, so we'll write root 3 upon 2, secondly 1 upon root 2, 1 upon 2, and 0. So this is all these values are derived from this formula, which is trigonometry angles for complementary angles. Okay, so this is simply the reverse order for sine. Over here we have derived the angles values for sine and for cos. Okay, so second we are going to, after this cos, we are going to learn derive the values for cosec theta. Okay, so if you remember in our previous videos, we have learned one formula called trigonometric for reciprocal identity. So we are going to use the same thing over here. Okay, so we write it as cosec theta is equal to 1 upon sin theta. So this is simply the formula we are writing. Okay, so over here, so which means that cosec values, okay, for each of these angles, it's simply the reciprocal values of sine. Okay, so first for we are going to take example, like start with 0. We are going to substitute 0 over here. Okay, and here, so cosec 0, which will be equal to 1 upon sine 0. So sine 0 is 0. So we can write as 0. So you know 1 upon 0 is not defined, or we can start with infinity. Okay, either infinity or not defined. Okay, so we can rewrite this as, okay, this as infinity. Okay, so similarly for every angles we have to reciprocal the values of sine and write it over here. Okay, so sine 30, so now sine 30 is 1 upon 2, cosec 30 will be 2 upon 1, so which we can write it as 2. Okay, same thing for 45 degrees. So cos sine 45 is 1 upon root 2. So we have to reciprocal it and we'll get root 2. Going forward with angle 60, sine 60 is root 3 upon 2. We have to reverse reciprocal it upside down. We will write 2 upon root 3. Similarly for 90, sine 90 is 1. We will reciprocal it as 1. Okay, so moving forward with sec ratio. So if you remember again in the previous video we have used trigonometry for reciprocal identity. So we are going to use the same thing. Okay, so we can write it simply as sec theta is 1 upon cos theta. Okay, so previously for sine and cosec, we have just reciprocal the values for the respective angles and written it for cosec theta. So here it is also the same. So we are going to do the same thing for the sec. Okay, so we already learned this for written this for cosec. We are going to follow the same for sec. Just reciprocal the value of cos and write it over here. Okay, so 1 upon 1 is 1. Okay, cosec 30. So cos 30 is root 3 upon 2. So this will be written as 2 upon root 3. Going forward with sec 45. Cos 45 is 1 upon root 2. So we write it as root 2. Going ahead with 60. Sec 60. We'll find cos 60. Cos 60 is 1 by 2. So sec 60 will be 2. Okay, going ahead with 90 angle, 90 degree. Cos 90 is 0. Again sec 0 is sec 90 is 1 upon 0, which we can write it as infinity. So we can use the second other formulas like the complementary angle formula for cosec and sec. So sec theta is cosec 90 minus theta, or we can write simply the reverse order for cosec. So if we already have the cosec angles, so for sec we just need to write the cosec values in the reverse order. It's the same. So we do it by this formula or we do it by other formula. Is the answer is also going to be same. So we already derived the values of sine, cos, cosec, and sec. First, tan. So if you remember, we have already learned a previous formula in our videos. So that formula was tan theta is sine theta upon cos theta. Okay, so we are just going to divide these values and the result, the answer we are going to have in the tan value. Okay, so for instance, let's take 0. So tan 0 is equal to sine 0. What is sine 0? Is 0 and sine 1 is, sorry, cos 0 is 1. So the answer is 0. Okay, so it's like the same. Tan theta is sine theta upon cos theta. We have used this formula to derive the value for tan theta. Okay, so tan 0. Okay, we are just substituting 0 in tan. Okay, so tan 0 is sine 0 upon cos 0. Sine 0 is 0. Cos 0 is 1. So we are writing it as 0, and you can see 0 upon 1 is 0. Okay, so going forward with 30. Okay, so we are going to substitute the angle theta, okay, as 30. So sine 30 would be 1 upon 2 upon root 3 upon 2, root 3 upon 2. So if you can see, this 2 and this 2 will get cancelled, and the one we are left with is 1 upon root 3. Okay, so going forward with sine 45, tan 45 is sine 45 upon cos 45. You can see 1 upon root 2 divided by 1 upon root 2, which is equal. So we can write it as 1. Moving ahead, tan 60. So sine 60 upon cos 60. So if you can see, this 2 and those 2 will get cancelled. We will get left with root 3 upon 1. So it will be simply root 3. And the tan 90. So we will be left with sine 90 upon cos 90. So which will be 1 upon 0. That will be infinity. Okay, so we have derived the values for tan. Okay, now we are left with cot. So if you remember in the previous video, so we have learned one ratio, one formula, sorry, that is for complementary angles. So we can write that formula as cot theta is equal to tan 90 minus theta. So we are going to use this formula to derive the values for cot. Okay, so let's for instance, let's take 0. So cot 0. Okay, so over here we'll substitute theta as 0 in this complete formula. So we'll be left with cot 0 is equal to tan 90 minus 0. So 90 minus 0 is 90. So which means cot 0 is equal to tan 90. The value of tan 90 is infinity. So we'll simply write this as cot 0 as infinity. Similarly, we have to write all the values 0, 30, 45, 60, 90 for tan in the reverse order of this for cot. So tan 90 is infinity. We'll write it cot 0 as infinity. Moving ahead, cot 30 will be tan 60. So it will be root 3. Okay. Cot 45 will be same as tan 45, which is 1. Cot 60 is same as tan 30. So which will be 1 upon root 3. And the last cot 90 is same as tan 0. So which is 0. So this is all the trigonometric ratios and the angles and the respective value. So if you have not understood any of this ratio, like how we have derived this, you can rewind this video and check. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. So that's it for today, students. Thank you.